Growing up, I had heard of the Persona franchise, or should I say Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I had mostly heard about Persona 4 and how good it was, from the gameplay to the characters to the story, and how it handled sexuality and identity on top of all of that. I'm a huge fan of Japanese role-playing games, and when I was in college, I finally picked up Persona 4, and it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. And now, before I talk about the entire franchise, I will say that I've only played Persona 3 and 4, and I do plan on playing Persona 5 when it releases. So, when I talk about Persona having the greatest fantasy world of all time, this is where I'm coming from. And I'm not talking about Tartarus, or the Midnight Channel, or the Palace, all the spooky, mystery world, supernatural stuff. No, it's not about that. It's all the moments in the game where you're living an ordinary life. Those are the moments that I find truly spectacular. I love life simulation games. I always have. And more specifically, I really like Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing. You see, games like this always fascinated me because it had me slow down and experience a story in a fictional world at a slower pace. And it was so different from the games that I would normally play. Instead of stomping Goombas, I was planning a new crop layout. And instead of finding that next power cell, I was saving up all my bells for a new piece of furniture that I really wanted. So knowing that, and going back to Persona, I had a much different experience, especially because I played it at an older age, and the game is very unique. This time you play as a high schooler who is moving into a new school, and you don't get a chance to slow down. And you thought managing your time in Harvest Moon was hard? Persona, you got nothing on Persona. In Persona, you gotta go to school, join a club, or not join a club, hang out with friends, find someone to romance, or maybe you can relax, or study, or work out, or, I don't know, stop the entire world from ending in this huge apocalyptic scenario. But you're probably wondering, but Scotty, that sounds like life. And I would say that you're right. Well, except for the world-ending scenario, unless that is like your life, and if it is, then we need to talk more. To me, this is an outstanding fantasy world because I can never go there. With Harvest Moon, I know what it's like to work on a farm. With Animal Crossing, I know what it's like to manage your money and do favors. But Persona is different because all the aspects of when you're living your life relies so heavily on being set in Japan. This is why I love it so much, because it gives you a different outlook on your life that is relatable, but also completely and drastically different. Clubs are much different than they are in Japan than they are in Houston, Texas. Your school week works entirely different, seen by the fact that your school week ends on a Saturday, where mine ended on a Friday. Even your holidays are different, which is incredibly cool because now you get to see these new festivals and bits of culture, and they feel incredibly accurate, and you get to experience it yourself. And it's much different than fantasy worlds that are so out there. Like Mass Effect is great, but it's set in space and there are aliens, and that's so not real. I've gone through high school. I've passed that point in my life. I can never have that experience again. But I can have something similar to it with Persona, and then I can see it from an incredibly new point of view, which I think is so incredible. And it's part of the reasons why video games as an interactive media is so unique, because you always hear that phrase, oh, walk a mile in someone's shoes. Well, with this, you can. And of course, they make it entertaining by adding in all of these elements of monsters and fighting and combat. But it's the moment of where you're trying to figure out who to hang out with. Or you're hanging out with someone and you want to learn more about their life, and you're just sitting down having lunch with them. Those are the moments that I think shine way, way more than all of the craziness. And there are tons of more reasons of why I think this game series is so unique and special, but I'll leave you with this. While you're playing Persona 5 and you are the coolest member of the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, don't forget to increase those confidant branches, or social links as they used to be called. Don't forget to study for your midterms. And when you're at a cultural festival, talk to everyone you can so you can learn more about it, because that's where the game really shines.